Welcome to Planet Subaru, your undealership and home to the web's #1 Subaru research site. Today we're introducing the 2022 and 2023 Forester. This is the 4th and 5th year of Subaru's current generation of Forester. This generation was introduced in 2019. So we have the 2019, 2020, and 2021 models, which were almost identical. Subaru made some nice changes for this 4th model year, which will go into the 5th model year. And those affect both the appearance and the function of the vehicle. Just for comparison purposes, so you can compare this 2022 and 2023 version to the previous version of the same generation, I wheeled down a 2019 Subaru Forester Touring here. So we're comparing, in both cases, touring models, so that we're doing apples to apples. Cosmetically, you'll see the wheel designs just a little different year to year, and also the roof rails on the previous Touring were black, and now we have a little upscale finish, kind of a shiny chromed kind of look, maybe a brushed aluminum effect on the 2022-2023 version. Also, the front end you'll see has been updated. Looks a little more aggressive, a little more contemporary. So this is the newer version here in the green, and the previous in silver. There are some functional differences that we'll get into shortly, but let me just mention that the engine is the same. So they didn't change anything in terms of fuel economy or performance. It's 182 horsepower, which is plenty adequate for most drivers, and also returns great highway fuel economy at 33. So it's a formula that was already working, and I didn't feel the need to change it. I'll just show you the engine briefly before we move on to some of the functional changes. So the engine you'll find in all Subaru Foresters from 2019 all the way through the 2023 model is going to be a 2.5-liter 4-cylinder boxer engine, naturally aspirated, so no turbocharger. It's pretty peppy right off the line, and unless you're trying to do any drag races at stoplights, you'll find it plenty potent. As we jump into the discussion of the roof rails, I'll just show you the back of the vehicle so you can see for yourself that there were no changes to the rear cosmetics. Previously, on the 2019, 2020, and 2021 version of the Forester, there was a dynamic load limit of 176 pounds. And by dynamic load limit, I mean that was their limit for when the vehicle was in motion. So if you were driving anywhere, Subaru said that you should not exceed a load of 176 pounds. That load has been increased because of reinforcements and a new roof rail design to 220 pounds. So you got almost another 50 pounds there. And more important for the people who like to camp out with a rooftop tent, is that the static load, which is the load you can put on the car when it's not moving, has been increased from 700 on the 2019, 2020, and 2021 version, now another 100 pounds to 800 pounds on the 2022 and 2023 version. The most significant difference between the cars will be found in Subaru's EyeSight system. EyeSight is the name for Subaru's suite of driver assistance technologies. At the heart of that system are the stereoscopic cameras that you see, one on each side of the rear view mirror there. They're perched up nice and high so they can look down the road and detect obstacles. In the event that you fail to brake for a car stopped in front of you, for example, the car will brake for you, and that was a function of EyeSight dating all the way back to its introduction for the 2013 model year. It first appeared on an Outback back then. But with this new version of the Forester, we've seen something that's never been offered before, and that is emergency steering. So again, in the event that you neglect to brake for a car that is stopped in front of you, it can apply the brakes, but it can also steer around it. And there are some other changes to the system too. They have different cameras which allow the car to see farther, and of course they continue to learn a lot about how the system works as they accumulate more and more data, and so they've improved the software. The cameras themselves, you might notice, I'm going to show you from the inside too, but they're a little slimmer and a little more futuristic looking on the newer version. Going back to the previous version, I'll show you they're hanging down a little lower into the cabin. They're a little bulkier. And they were never really in the way, but you certainly noticed it. They never bothered me before I knew that it could be any different, but now that Subaru has slimmed them right down, it's just a nice, cleaner look, I think, and improves the visibility just a little bit more by giving you some room between the rear view mirror and those cameras, which used to be basically non-existent because the camera system just sat right on top of the mirror. You might be wondering, well, if this car has the ability to steer around an obstacle, who's checking the rear view mirrors to make sure there isn't a car in the lane to the left or the right? And the answer to that question is there are additional sensors in the car beyond just the stereoscopic cameras in front. For example, there are sensors for blind spot detection that can see what's going on around the vehicle. So if there were a car passing you at the same time, then obviously the EyeSight system would not take you into another lane to get around an obstacle because it would know that there'd be a collision created there too. So it's pretty advanced technology, and the Subaru continues to impress with the passing generations. Please visit planetsubaru.com for a wealth of information about this new Forester, all the other Subaru models, and comparisons between them. Thanks for watching.